but still being a dreamer kind of like restricts me from it's kind of ironic, it restricts me from dreaming.
I want the children that are growing up in the United States to be dreamers also. They're not dreaming right now.
When someone's coming here, more times than not, they're coming because they're trying to get a better situation.
I get a phone call, and my sister told me that they got him. And I said, what do you mean they got him?
Day one, we end a border policy which allows federal agents to snatch babies from the arms of their mothers.
What they want is to turn the United States of America into the United Socialist States of America.
When I heard about America, for me it was like paradise. It was a place where there was no pain, there was no problem, there was no issues.
The beautiful coloring of our country that is happening at a faster pace is creating fear.
USA! USA! USA!
This man who struck these two women, he was deported 8 times.
These incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons.
That's unfair to say someone's a racist because they take a position.
Life is so hard in Haiti or in the country that they had before, they'll take the risk of getting caught. Like, it's almost like all or nothing.
All the data that I've seen indicates that crime is higher in a sanctuary city than in a non-sanctuary city.
There's rules, there's regulations, there's laws.
Like at the end of the day, you know, I'm just like you.
I am you.
I am
You.
you.
In the end, we remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Welcome to another edition of The Conversation. I tell you what, we are rocking and rolling. I'm having a time of my life. I want to give a shout out to our camera person, Edward, doing a great job. Every single interview, he's doing an amazing job. So, we're just continuing to get to know different candidates. It's so important to know, to get involved in local elections. So, have a chance. I met you a few weeks ago. It was definitely a pleasure. Elizabeth Laso.
Thank you.
Am I pronouncing your last name right?
You did. Thank you.
Awesome. So you're running for candidate for Ward 6 City Councilor.
Yes, I
So we
am.
have a few candidates here. There will be a primary.
Yes.
So first, for people who don't know you, just talk about your background, in who are you and why you decided to run for city council.
Well, first of all, I want to say it was a pleasure to meet you as well, too. And I am very happy to be here. Thank you so much for hosting me and all the other candidates as well, too, because this is a great venue to give the people some insight on who everyone is. So I am an 18-year resident of Brockton, which officially now this will be the longest I've ever lived anywhere in my life. I'm originally from Braintree, and I went to Suffolk University to study government and history, and I lived in the city for several years. And when it was time to get married and settle down and have children, I chose to move back down to the South Shore and chose Brockton for all the opportunities it had to offer. And so bought a nice house on a quiet dead-end street, and I've lived here happily for the past 18 years. I used to work in marketing and public relations and CRM. Back in the city, I commuted to the city for a long time, and I left that position when I decided to be a mom, and I chose to stay home and raise my children. I then, after raising them to a sufficient year, I was able to go back out in the workforce, and now I work for a global company called Marine Travel Lift, and I'm a CRM specialist, and I've been with them for 8 years now. And so part of what I do is help over 450 boat yards with over 600 pieces of equipment maintain and keep the show running so that they can operate and have their businesses operating. I have been, I'm the vice president of the Northeast Brockton Neighborhood Association for about a year and a half now. And I've been advocating for our neighbors in the neighborhood. We also have weekly phone conversations and Zoom calls with everyone to keep everybody in touch, to have like a public meeting, because currently right now we don't have any meetings that are going on from our ward. So we're trying to work with people to keep them engaged.
So what spark plugged you trying to be elected city councilor to actually put your name on the ballot? What was the spark plug?
Well,
And what do you think you could do differently if you're elected?
Well, again, so we've had some problems in my neighborhood, and so we started the neighborhood association to try to help solve some of those problems, reaching out to our counselor with little or no response. I've been trying to work with various offices at City Hall with little or no response. And after about a year and a half of doing that, I said, there's something that I can do here. And so about a year and a half beyond that, I started watching every city council meeting, every zoning, planning, traffic, financial, any meeting I could get a hold of on Zoom, I either watched or many times participated in as well too, in regards to advocating for my neighborhood. So that was about a year and a half ago that I started to do that. So I really took a lot of time to see what was going on, to get the measure, to see if this is something that I think that I could actually do and handle and advocate for, not just my neighborhood, but also for the ward and for the city. And so I decided to run because I feel like there is an opportunity to have a better representation, not just for my ward, but for the city in its entirety.
Now, let's talk about some different ways you could better represent the ward. Some maybe if you get elected to council, what are some things you would like to accomplish? What are some priorities?
Well, definitely the priorities are infrastructure, and also I believe having better representation for homeowners and what's going on with them. I get that there is a challenge to the city for repaving all the roads, and people talk about infrastructure. I actually spoke at the citizens portion of the budget hearing this past June to ask if there was a list of streets and their pavement needs and an estimate on how much it would cost to actually redo them. We were told, over a year ago, oh yeah, there's a list, it exists. Well, we asked for it. It should be public domain. They should have something like that readily available to give to everybody, but they didn't, and they haven't still. So, that's where I have a real problem, that there's not, they say that there's transparency. This was the first time they ever put that in the budget this year, and there's no real transparency. If there was, there would be a list there. We would know what streets need to be done. It shouldn't be a lottery that is submitted by each ward councilor every year to see what streets might be lucky enough to get repaved. There should be a plan, especially with the infrastructure money that we're getting now. If there wasn't already a plan in place, I think that that's a mistake, because maybe that's why Brockton's not getting as much money as some of the other cities are getting, like our sister cities that are of the same demographic, the same monetary, same kind of, population. Why are they getting more money and we're not?
So what do you see as the biggest issue in Brockton? Is it allocating funds to places and things that are needed? What do you see as the number one issue in Brockton right now that you want to really tackle?
I think the number one issue is a real disconnect with the communication that is, people ask questions and they're not getting answers. They're looking for a plan from the city. They're looking for people to be told what is going on in the city and with their own ward. And like I said, I've never had a ward meeting held by my representative right now. So it's a real disconnect. So I think that we need to have more of a connection. I also think that we need to do more to give people information. Right now, there's basically maybe 2-3 languages that information is being mailed out to people. In this day and age, we have the technology to know what your language is and have something printed to you to send it to you. It's listed right on the Brockton website how many different languages there are in the city of Brockton, and not just languages, I mean to say how many cultures there are in Brockton. So we know that there's several different, Cape Verde languages. There's languages from all over the world almost. Brockton is a huge melting pot, which is beautiful. Why are we not mailing out things to people in their own languages? It should not be that difficult to do. And yet they send out a voter registration card in English and Spanish, which Spanish isn't even the second language spoken in Brockton at this point. And it says on it, if you can't read this, go to this website. How are you supposed to go to that website if you can't read it? What if you don't know anybody who speaks English or Spanish? There's a real big disconnect.
I do want to talk to you about revenue, the rates went up in terms of the city. Talk about the reason, because
you're talking about the homeowners tax assessment and why everybody's rates went up.
Right, but my broader question, the reason for that is because not enough revenue coming to the city. So how would you bring revenue to the city, or what would you do to eliminate that? Well, not at least eliminate, but at least give the property owners and business owners a little relief.
Well, here's the thing. You say business owners, there's so few of them. Why? Why do they make it like jumping through a fire hoop to get your business up and running in Brockton? I've watched every meeting for the past year and a half, and seeing these good people coming in with great businesses that have the opportunity to earn revenue for Brockton are met with such resistance. And basically, I've spoken with a lot of these business owners who have said that they're basically told, oh, use this contractor, hire this lawyer, or you're going to have a hard time getting through. So they make it almost impossible for anybody to come in here with a business.
How'd you cut the red tape?
How would I cut the red tape? Well, I think we need to have an adjustment of departments and department heads and the people who are running them. I think that the city needs to have a comptroller, an auditor, and we also need to have an ombudsman. We need to have other ways for people to be able to have their problems solved and have somebody to overlook the departments that aren't operating in a welcoming and friendly way to scare businesses away. So we want to attract businesses. We don't want to detract businesses. So maybe also having a business development coordinator who can help people navigate through how you actually go from step A of your concept of your business to step Z, opening your business. There's not anything like that right now. And there's been a lot of business opportunities that have been missed because of that. Also, I think there's a lot of wasteful spending going on in the city right now. I would like somebody please to explain to me why we keep having department heads retire and then keeping them on a consulting basis because the person that they've hired maybe isn't qualified enough to do their job. I don't understand that. Why are we keeping people on as not a contractor, but as a consultant to do the job that we've already hired somebody else and are paying them a very good salary to do too? So that really, it confuses me.
So you're going to advocate fiscal responsibility?
Well, absolutely. We need a redo of the fiscal responsibilities in the city. Somebody's got to be watching out for this, and right now there's nobody watching out for it.
I want to switch subjects just a little bit and talk about policing and community. I mean, it's all part of the overall wellness of the city. Last year was protests around the whole country, and it's in Brockton, of course. How do we turn protests into progress? How do you feel about our community and police relations? How can you and the council and the mayor, it's not just one person,
right?
How can you guys help collectively build a stronger relationship with the community and police, and vice versa, the community with the police?
So I think that there needs to be like community liaisons and not necessarily police officers to be responding to every single call that's out there. Sometimes you're getting calls for people who are mentally, disabled, and they need help. They don't need to be brought upon with police with guns and badges and the heavy forces. They need to be kind of talked down. So I think that having a community liaison or a police division that handles crisis calls, instead of having police that are supposed to be responding to when someone's shot or when there's something tragic going on like that. I also think that there's a lot of complaints from people, and I hear this a lot in my neighborhood, about the noise, about the fireworks, about the illegal vehicles that are driving around. And so one of the ideas that I had said was that if we had satellite police stations around the city, and especially in the summertime, where you could kind of set something up, send police out on bikes, and not like heavily armed police, but again, to reach out to the community. And honestly, I abut the Ames Knoll State Park. There's dirt bikes and ATVs all the time. I grew up with ATVs. I love that kind of stuff. The thing is, if they maybe showed more respect, people wouldn't care or wouldn't, but they're zooming up the streets, and it's an endangerment to the whole neighborhood and the people on the streets.
Would you advocate for body cameras and civilian review
boards?
Yes,
absolutely. I think that benefits both the civilians and the police because, police are sometimes accused of doing things that they didn't do. And if they had these body cameras on them, there's 100% proof. You cannot dispute what happens on a body camera. As we've seen in the news and in several lawsuits, and you know, you see it. If there's a body camera with the absolute evidence to show what happened, not many questions after that.
Question from our youth. They want to know, how would you get the youth involved in politics? Because there's a growing concern that they don't feel like they're heard, and kind of disconnected from their government. So a student actually told me to ask you guys this questions. How would you get the youth involved more in politics? How would you make them feel like they're heard?
Well, one of the things that I was talking to actually somebody who works for the elections office, she doesn't work for the office, but she's a volunteer who works for, well, I shouldn't say volunteer, but she works with the election committee in Brockton. And we had suggested maybe getting students who speak other languages to come in and help at the voting stations to help people who are filling out their voter cards.
Right.
And I guess there's a process that goes along with that they have to go through classes. They have to be 18, of voter age, all that stuff. So, you know, maybe starting them younger, like they are proposing to do, that they are allowed to have younger voters now pre-register, so that you can, you know, say if you are not of age for the preliminaries, but you are of age for the general election, you know, engaging with them like that. And then also, you know, there's no reason to not have a community town meeting with them, and having, you know, I was actually just at a community meeting last night for the city. There's no reason why we couldn't do something like that for the teens and offer that, and reach out to the high schools that we have to see if there's any interest in starting a community group that could meet on a monthly basis, and start the communications going from there, so that they have an opportunity. I think it would be a great idea to have a panel of high school students interview all the candidates and do a debate with the candidates and help teach them how to become politically involved like that.
All right. Listen, we're about ready to wrap up. I want to give you an opportunity to talk to the viewers and tell them why they should vote you as the next counselor for Ward 6.
I think that you should vote for me as your next Ward 6 counselor, because I am out here and ready and willing to do the work. I've been doing the work. I've been an advocate for not just my neighborhood association, but for the other neighborhood associations within Brockton. I think that there should be more neighborhood associations. I have been attending all sorts of meetings. I'm at a meeting, if not 3 to 4 times a week, then maybe 5. I really want to do this. I have been challenged with this, and I am up for the challenge, and I think that my past work shows that I'm ready to be a representative and represent not just Ward 6, but all of Brockton.
Thank you so much, and I wish you best in your campaign.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here.
All right.